Okay, imagine you're in a meeting with your team. You have a new idea or a concern with the feasibility of an existing idea the group is talking about. But instead of speaking up, you hold back. You worry about being judged, ignored, or even dismissed. Does this sound familiar? Have you been in this situation, or can you picture a coworker that this situation fits? This scenario highlights why psychological safety is so critical in teams. Psychological safety is the belief that you can take risks, ask questions, and share ideas without fear of negative consequences. I'm Steve with Agile Enough. Today I'll share insights from Google's Aristotle project and work from others to explain why psychological safety isn't just a nice to have, it's the secret ingredient of high performance teams. In the early 2000s, Google launched the Aristotle project, studying nearly 200 teams to uncover what made some teams more successful than others. Was success determined by the makeup of the teams? Should teams be made up of the same gender or culture? Should teams be made up of all top level university graduates with masters in computer science? What about teams made up solely of introverts or extroverts? Their conclusion: psychological safety was the single most important factor to determine if a team was high performing. In teams with high psychological safety, members felt confident they wouldn't be embarrassed for making a mistake or sharing their thoughts. These teams were much more likely to report being effective at work, and they were more innovative as they felt safe to propose and test new ideas. One standout finding was this: teams that openly discussed mistakes were faster to learn and adapt. For example, engineers at Google who reviewed failed projects without blame often uncovered solutions that saved future efforts. To take this to the extreme, we can look at one example from recent human history where fear of failure actually cost lives: Chernobyl. After this nuclear accident happened, the local officials initially tried to downplay the severity of the accident by not immediately evacuating nearby residents, delaying the announcement of the disaster to the public, and not disclosing the full extent of the radiation leak. Why did they do this? Officials were fearful not only of the optics of the Soviet Union, but also of what their leaders might do and the repercussions. It only became public when neighboring countries picked up on the uptick in background radiation. A New York Times article on the topic of psychological safety highlighted a core idea in the discussion on team dynamics. Trust and vulnerability are non-negotiable for a team's success. Teams thrive when members feel safe enough to take risk and admit uncertainty. This balance of challenge and support fosters growth. Think about it. In an environment where feedback is shared constructively, creativity flourishes and problems are solved faster. This emphasizes that the best teams create a space where it's okay to be wrong, because that's where the learning happens. There's a great story from the book Toyota Kata by Mike Rother. It's a book about lean manufacturing. The story goes like this. A Toyota executive asks a Ford executive how many major mistakes that he had made in the last year. The Ford executive says zero. The Toyota executive states that he made 39 mistakes in the last year. He emphasized how each one of those mistakes uncovered a pivot point for correcting the company's direction. The executive stated, having no problems is the biggest problem of all. So why does psychological safety matter so much? It drives innovation. Teams willing to take risk can find breakthrough solutions. It boosts collaboration. Members are more likely to contribute diverse perspectives. It also improves retention. People want to stay in workplaces where they feel valued and respected. Consider this: organizations that prioritize psychological safety see measurable returns, from higher productivity to stronger employee satisfaction. So, to conclude, psychological safety isn't just a buzzword, it's a foundation for success. When teams feel safe to share, challenge, and grow, the results are extraordinary. Here's my challenge to you: take a moment to think about your own team. What small changes can you make to create a safer, more open environment? If you're curious about practical steps to foster psychological safety, check out my other videos for actionable advice. Let's build better teams together. I also highly recommend a video by Charles Duhigg on psychological safety. The video covers how Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night Live conducted psychological safe meetings with the likes of John Belushi and Chevy Chase. It's a great video. I will link to the video in the notes. Thank you so much for watching Agile Enough today. Have a wonderful week.